Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into a fascinating period, the time just before the first revelation to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Yes, and we're looking at some compelling accounts, trying to understand not just what happened, but maybe the why behind it all.
Exactly. We've pulled together material largely from Furqan Qureshi's work, which compiles various historical sources. It's quite a collection.
It is, and it lets us move a bit beyond the usual timeline, get into the context.
Yeah, because in previous deep dives, we've often gone chronologically. But now, as we approach the actual prophethood, you see this buildup, signs,
Yeah.
significant events, not just in Mecca, but, well, all over the Arabian Peninsula.
Right, and the interesting thing is some things were seen back then, but people only really understood their significance, like looking back later.
So where's a good place to start unpacking all this? It feels like a lot was converging.
I think the rebuilding of the Kaaba is crucial. It was a massive event right before prophethood, and what happened during the rebuild tells us a lot.
Okay, the Kaaba rebuild. What kept that off? It wasn't just routine maintenance, was it?
No, not at all. There were some serious issues. One was major water damage. It actually exposed tunnels underneath.
Tunnels under the Kaaba.
Yeah, which led to an attempted theft. Someone tried to steal treasures stored in like an underground chamber, offerings and valuables.
A sacred vault,
Yeah.
almost. And wasn't it a slave named Wadik who tried this? He actually grabbed some golden artifacts. Golden deer, I think.
That's the account, yes. Golden deer placed by Abdul Muttalib, the prophet's grandfather. Wadik was caught, though.
Right, and the punishment was severe. Lost his hands.
Exactly. So that whole incident really showed, the treasures weren't secure. Plus, there was a fire.
A fire, too. How did that happen?
Apparently, a woman burning incense nearby got careless, and the Kaaba's covering, the kiswa, caught fire, caused quite a bit of damage.
So security problems and physical damage. Okay, makes sense. But actually tearing down the old Kaaba, that must have felt risky to them.
Oh, incredibly risky. They deeply revered it. The fear of, well, divine punishment was very real.
Like the story of Abraham's army. That was still a big deal in their memory.
Huge deal. That story definitely made them hesitate. Who would dare strike the first blow?
So how did they get past that fear? Who actually started the demolition?
It was Walid ibn Mughira Makhzumi, a prominent figure. He basically said, look, our intentions are good. We just want to rebuild it properly.
And he proposed a test, didn't he?
Yes, a practical step. He said, I'll tear it down apart. We wait overnight. If nothing bad happens to me, then it's okay. God approves.
Clever. And when he was fine the next day?
That gave everyone else the confidence. Okay, it's permitted. Let's proceed.
Right. And then, when they got down to the foundations, this is where it gets really interesting. What do they find?
It was, well, quite amazing. They uncovered these massive dark green stones.
Dark green.
Yeah, interlocked so tightly they looked almost like one solid piece. And these were believed to be the original foundation stones laid by Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him.
Wow. Directly connecting them to Abraham. That must have been awe-inspiring.
Absolutely. And they were very reluctant to disturb them. Apparently, someone tried to lever one out, and there was this loud, unsettling noise.
Ooh, like a warning. So they left them.
They did. But they also found inscriptions on these green stones.
Inscriptions. What do they say? Can you imagine finding that?
It's incredible. One was an ancient Syriac, and it was a first-person message, supposedly from Allah himself.
No way. What did it declare?
Something like, I am Allah, the Lord of Mecca. I created it when I created the heavens and earth. I placed 7 angels to protect it. Its milk and water are a blessing for its people.
A direct divine statement, etched in stone from Abraham's time. That must have had a huge impact.
Immense, a powerful confirmation of the Kaaba's sanctity.
Were there other inscriptions found around there too?
Yes, near the station of Ibrahim, the Maqam Ibrahim. Another one spoke about sustenance, about provision coming to Mecca from 3 directions.
Highlighting its role as a place people relied on.
Exactly. And a third one talked about accountability, consequences for good deeds and bad deeds. It reinforced the spiritual and ethical core.
Okay, so the reconstruction itself. The money for it. There were rules about that, weren't there?
Very strict rules. A real consensus emerged. Only pure money, legitimate earnings.
What counted as impure?
Things like earnings from, well, entertainment, singing, dancing, and especially usury, interest. That was out.
Interesting. There was an incident with some stones not fitting right, linked to this.
Yeah, Abu Wahab, a respected elder, noticed some stones weren't quite fitting. He took it as a sign, emphasizing again that only purely earned wealth should be used. It says something about their values, even then.
A real community effort then, but with ethical boundaries.
Yeah.
Different tribes pitched in materials, right? And they had an engineer.
Yes, tribes contributed, and a Roman engineer named Bakum oversaw the technical side, but then came the big problem.
Ah, the black stone. The
Mhm.
Hajjah is what? Everyone wanted the honor of putting it back in place.
Exactly, a huge point of honor. Each tribe wanted that prestige, and things got heated. Really heated. Almost came to blows.
That tribal pride was strong. How did they solve it without fighting?
Well, it was Abu Umayyah al-Maksumi who came up with an idea, maybe a bit risky, but neutral.
What was it?
He proposed that the very next man to walk into the haram, the sacred area, would be the one to decide who places the stone.
Leaving it to chance or perhaps fate. And who walked in?
It was Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, still known then as Al-Amin, the trustworthy one.
And did they accept him? He wasn't, a tribal chief in the same way.
Instantly, as soon as they saw him, the Quraysh leaders said, "It's Al-Amin, we accept his judgment." That shows the respect he already commanded even before prophethood.
His integrity was that well known. And his solution was brilliant, wasn't it?
Just brilliant. He asked for a cloak or a piece of cloth,
Right.
placed the black stone right in the middle. Then he had representatives from all the main tribes take hold of the edges of the cloth.
So they all lifted it together.
Exactly. They lifted it collectively towards its spot in the wall. Then the prophet himself, peace be upon him, took the stone and set it into place.
Genius. Everyone shared the honor, conflict avoided, just pure wisdom.
It really diffused the whole situation perfectly. A masterclass in diplomacy.
But you mentioned there's a sort of footnote to this story, something about an old man from Najd.
Yes, a less common account, but interesting. Ibn Abbas apparently identified this figure as Iblis, as Satan.
Really? What did he do?
Well, this old man supposedly spoke up, questioning the decision. Like, why let this younger man who isn't the wealthiest decide such a crucial thing? Trying to sow doubt.
Trying to undermine the unity, maybe. Even then.
Perhaps. Suggesting it was a mistake, that it would lead to trouble down the line, it adds another layer, showing maybe not everyone was happy, or that negative forces were already at play.
Fascinating detail. Okay, so that whole Kaaba event really puts a spotlight on the prophet, peace be upon him. Did this lead to people describing him more, noticing things about his appearance around this time?
It seems so. After he played such a key role, people definitely paid more attention. And we start getting these really vivid descriptions of him.
Like the one from Jabir ibn Samra. That one's quite famous.
Yes, very evocative. Jabir became a companion later, but he recalled seeing the prophet, peace be upon him, before the revelation.
What does he describe?
He said he saw him on a night with a full moon. The prophet, peace be upon him, was wearing a red garment. And Jabir said he looked back and forth between the moon and the prophet's face. And he concluded that the prophet, peace be upon him, was more beautiful, more radiant than the full moon itself.
Wow, that's quite a statement.
It is. He also mentioned his eyes, how they looked like they had kohl eyeliner on them naturally, even though he wasn't wearing any. That was seen as a sign of, striking beauty in Arab culture.
A natural intensity and appeal. And what about his eyesight? There was something unusual there too, right? Linked to the Pleiades?
Ah, yes, the Sirat star cluster. That was like an ancient eye test, basically.
How so?
Well, most people with good vision could maybe pick out 5, maybe 6 stars in that cluster. Seeing 7 was considered exceptional. You'd be a great scout or archer.
Okay. And the prophet, peace be upon him.
Imam Qurtubi reported that the prophet, peace be upon him, could distinguish 11 stars in the Pleiades cluster.
11. That's extraordinary, far beyond normal human vision.
Exactly, just another hint of his unique nature.
So we have the Kaaba rebuild, these physical descriptions.
Mm-hmm.
But there were also other signs bubbling up, right? Expectations of a prophet arriving.
Absolutely. This is a really key theme in this period. 2 things seem to be happening. 1, the usual sources for soothsayers, the Jinn bringing information from the heavens, that seem to be drying up, getting blocked.
Okay, disruption in the supernatural, so to speak.
And second, among the people of the book, the Jews and Christians in Arabia, there was a growing buzz. Their scriptures pointed to a prophet coming soon.
So anticipation from different angles. What kind of stories illustrate this?
Well, there's an account from Ali ibn Nafi al-Jarshi in Yemen. He went looking for a well-known soothsayer way up in the mountains. After this soothsayer did his observations, looking at the sky and so on, he told Ali and his group flat out, A prophet named Muhammad, chosen by Allah, was about to appear among them, but he wouldn't stay long in their area. A clear prediction.
A direct prophecy, before the revelation even happened. Amazing. What about in Medina? How were the Jewish and Christian communities acting?
There's an interesting report from Asim ibn Umar. He said there was a noticeable change. Before, they coexisted okay with the local Arabs. But as this time approached, some started acting, well, more hostile.
Hostile? How?
They began warning the Arabs about this coming prophet, almost threatening them, saying things like, wait till he arrives, then we'll deal with you, if they believed in him. It's even referenced in the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah.
So they knew one was coming, maybe even expected him to be from among them, but reacted defensively when the signs pointed elsewhere.
It seems complex, yeah. But the anticipation was clearly there. And then there's the story of Salma ibn Salama. He was just a boy then.
What did he see?
He remembered a Jewish scholar in their neighborhood standing somewhere high up where he could see all the houses.
Okay.
And the scholar pointed towards Mecca and then towards Yemen and announced loudly that a prophet was about to appear from that direction, giving specific characteristics.
Did he see when?
Someone asked him, and the scholar pointed right at young Salma and said, basically, if this boy lives to old age, he'll see him.
And Salma did live to see him, right? He became a companion.
He did indeed. It's another one of those accounts that just fits perfectly in hindsight.
So the expectation was building in Yemen, in Medina. Now let's get into those maybe stranger signs, the ones involving Jinn directly.
Right. This is where things get really intriguing. We have the story of Urwa ibn Masud al-Thaqafi. This was before he became Muslim.
What happened with him?
He was traveling near Najran, resting under a tree. He overheard two young shepherd girls talking about him.
Okay, just normal chatter.
Except they started prophesying about him, saying he'd gain leadership, but only through obeying a coming prophet, one who would establish prayers and bring something remarkable.
Shepherd girls making prophecies. That's unusual.
Very. It suggests knowledge coming from somewhere unexpected. Then there's Amra ibn Mara's dream.
The one on his journey from Yemen.
That's the one. He dreamt of this incredibly bright light shooting out from the Kaaba, reaching all the way to Medina.
Right.
And in the dream, a voice declared the end of idols, the arrival of justice, mercy, peace. When he woke up, some mysterious figure appeared, interpreted the dream for him, confirming it was about the coming prophet, urged him to believe, and then just vanished.
Again, this theme of a massive shift, communicated in these extraordinary ways, dreams, voices, and the female soothsayer in Medina, Al-Tala. What was her story?
She had a jinn companion, like many soothsayers claim to. Usually it would whisper information to her.
Right.
But around this time, the jinn actually appeared visible before her, which was strange, and it recited this cryptic poetry.
Poetry about what?
About future battles, specifically mentioning Badr and Uhud by name, things that hadn't happened yet and made no sense to her at the time.
So the jinn themselves were acting weirdly, delivering messages they maybe didn't fully grasp.
Exactly. It points to this disruption. And the reason why they were acting strangely is key.
Which connects back to what you said earlier
Okay.
about them being blocked from the heavens.
Precisely. Islamic tradition and Surah al-Jinn in the Quran explains this. As prophethood neared, the heavens were guarded more intensely. Jinn, trying to eavesdrop, were driven back by Shahab Thaqib shooting stars, flaming missiles.
So the increase in shooting stars people were seeing wasn't random.
It was seen as part of this cosmic guarding, preventing the jinn from stealing heavenly news. This blockage was a major sign that direct divine revelation to humans was imminent.
And the jinn felt this blockage.
Oh yes. Ibn Abbas reported they were really distressed. Even Iblis, Satanist, supposedly sensed this huge event coming and frantically tried to figure out where the final prophet would emerge, even trying to smell the soil in different places.
That's quite an image. Iblis sniffing the earth, trying to find the source of this shift. And ordinary people noticed the shooting stars too.
They did. Amr ibn Umayyah, who we mentioned, saw loads of them. Farmers asked him what it meant.
What did he tell them?
He said, well, if the known stars, the constellations, start falling, that means the end of the world. But if it's just these other shooting stars, it probably means some huge transformative event is happening on Earth. People felt something big was underway.
A sense of cosmic significance filtering down. Okay, this brings us nicely to the story of Suad ibn Karib. It seems to tie a lot of this together.
It really does. Suad was known as a soothsayer before Islam. Later, during the time of Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab, people recognized him.
And Umar wanted to hear his story.
Yes, Umar had apparently wanted to hear the full story for a while, so Suad told him what happened before prophethood.
What was his experience?
He said he was woken up 3 nights in a row by a voice. Not a dream, a voice.
Saying what?
Announcing that a prophet had emerged, or was just about to, from the lineage of Lu'ay ibn Khalib, a direct ancestor of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
3 nights in a row. That's specific. What did he do?
It compelled him. He gave up his soothsaying and traveled to find this prophet. When he met Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he recounted the whole thing, how the voice had spoken to him.
How did the prophet react?
He was reportedly overjoyed, really happy to hear it. It was another confirmation, another piece fitting into the puzzle of signs leading up to his mission, and Umar, hearing it, confirmed its significance.
It's like Suad's own journey mirrored the bigger shift, moving from the old ways of seeking knowledge through Jinn to recognizing the direct divine message.
Exactly. His story is a powerful personal testament to that transition.
So looking back on all this, Kaaba rebuild, the inscriptions, the prophet's unique qualities, the widespread anticipation, the Jinn, the stars, it's quite a tapestry.
It really is. It paints a picture of a world both seen and unseen, absolutely primed for something monumental. You have tangible events like the Kaaba work, you have the growing recognition of the prophet's character, peace be upon him, you have prophecies and expectations among Jews, Christians, even soothsayers getting weird signals, and the Jinn themselves are reacting.
It really underscores that this wasn't just another moment in history. It feels like preparations were being made on multiple levels. The unique status of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, seems evident even before the Quran started being revealed.
Without a doubt. These accounts give us a glimpse into that incredibly charged atmosphere, that sense that everything was about to change.
It makes you think. As we wrap up this dive, reflecting on all these different threads, the physical, the spiritual, the prophetic, what's one thing that really stands out to you? A final thought for us to ponder.
You know, what strikes me is the sheer convergence. How all these different signs, from ancient stones to dreams to celestial events, all seem to point towards the single point in time and this specific person. It makes you wonder about, well, the nature of destiny or divine planning, maybe.
Yeah.
How seemingly unrelated things can be woven together to set the stage for something world-changing.
That intricate weaving of events. A really profound thought to end on. Thank you. That was truly illuminating, digging into this crucial period.
My pleasure. Always fascinating to explore.
Until our next deep dive, keep exploring.